Welcome, food and fitness lovers, to Tina's Ageless Kitchen. Welcome, food and fitness lovers, to Tina's Ageless Kitchen. I'm Chef Tina Martini. You might know me as the Medicine Chef. Well, today in the Ageless Kitchen, we're going to look at a different kind of eating style, as we always do when we're hanging out in the Ageless Kitchen. Today we're going to talk about raw foodism. It used to be really a huge trend that started in around the 60s. And then it kind of faded out and showed back up on the scene. So lots of people are doing raw vegan now, just like gluten-free and all the different high protein paleo. There's all different types of eating styles, and we just need to find what works for us and what works for our family. All right, so what we're gonna do is make a raw foodist chili relleno. And as you can see, I have a whole bunch of different really beautiful chilies. Now I have some that are whole here so you can see what we're working with. And then I've already taken the seeds and the membrane out of the chilies so that we can stuff them. And I've even got a beautiful striped red bell pepper here that we could just do a basic stuffed pepper. Okay, this is a Marzano, and it's sweet heat. It's very sweet on the palate, but then it gets you with a little bit of kick. This is a yellow chili, and this is one of my favorites to stuff with like tuna salad, tempeh salad, salmon salad. These are very mild and delicious, and they've got a real nice crisp bite to them. This is the Anaheim, and these are great and mild, and we recognize them as the fire roasted diced chilies that we get in the can. All right, so the Anaheims are really one of my favorites for things like chili rellenos, but I thought we'd do a little bit of all of them. Now I've got some soaked nuts here, and you say soaked nuts, what does that mean? Well, what you do is you actually soak the walnuts and the almonds, or you could use pepitas here, the pumpkin seeds, and those would be really beautiful because we're creating kind of a Southwest filling for our chili rellenos. Now, the almonds, of course, really great for our skin, high in vitamin E, but more than anything, it's those good essential fatty acids that keep everything flexible. And you know what we always say in Tina's Ageless Kitchen, if you don't want to age, stay moist and supple. And the almonds help us do that. They also bind water that we drink or water that we take in from our foods to our tissue so that we can truly be hydrated. That's the almonds. Now the walnuts, super, really great source of omega-3 fatty acid. Here's the kicker on the walnuts though, chefs. They're very high in omega-6 as well. Now omega-6 has been touted by many of the experts to burn body fat and specifically belly fat without exercise. That's true, omega-6 does do that. But when we take too much omega-6 in, which a lot of our processed foods have soybean oil in them, and that raises that omega-6 level dramatically. So when we've already got a diet that's high in omega-6, we don't really need to add a whole lot more onto that. That's one reason why I don't recommend eating tilapia fish. Tilapia is very high in omega-6. The walnuts, yes, they're high too in the omega-6. So what I recommend for my clients is 2 tablespoons of raw organic walnuts every other day. And that way we're not building up too much on the omega-6, but we are getting great benefit from the omega-3s. Really great nature's antidepressant here. Also really keeps the system supple, and again, just like the almonds, binds the moisture that we take in to the tissue. All right, so I'm just going to fill the food processor with the nuts. Now let's get back to the fact of soaking the nuts, and this is something that the raw foodist community practices on a regular basis. Now I take the almonds and the walnuts and put them in purified water for about 4 hours. You could actually do it overnight if you wanted. Now what this does is add a good level of hydration to the nuts so that when we grind them up in the food processor, they give us a very nice firm kind of pate texture, and that's what we're going to use as our meatless filling in our Raw Foodist Rianos. All right, so these have soaked for 4 to 6 hours and they're nice and hydrated. Let's go ahead and put those in. And again, we're going to do kind of a Southwest theme here today, chefs, with our chili Rianos. Let's move that out of the way. I've got some shallot here, and that's the fancy little purple onion. I've got some green onion here as well, because that's very common in Southwest. I've got some pasilla. And look at that dark green. Now remember, the darker the green of the plant matter, the higher the level of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is very similar in cellular structure to human hemoglobin. That's good news because it really pumps up those red blood cells full of oxygen and gets them to move out from our trunk into our extremities, and that gives us that energy that we can make it throughout the day without feeling that kind of 3 o'clock fatigue. The pasillas are very dark. They've got a great flavor to them, and these are awesome as chili Rianos as well. All right, so the chlorophyll is a very powerful anti-inflammatory. It's connected to longevity, it's purification, and rejuvenation. So basically, chlorophyll in plant form is kind of like a perk up for the whole system, especially our cellular matter. Now, the other way to get a great boost of this magical chlorophyll is through something called wheatgrass, and maybe you've taken some shots of wheatgrass at your favorite health food store. Okay, I'm going to go ahead with a little bit of minced garlic, and really kind of doing the work for the food processor is going to give you a much smoother texture and ensure that all of your ingredients are ground up. You don't want one of your dinner guests to get a big bite of hot garlic. Now, again, garlic is magical when it comes to reducing the bad cholesterol in the bloodstream, and it also is a very powerful fighter against cancerous cells. I've got a chili powder blend, and it's just your basic chili blend or chili powder blend. I'm sure all of our moms use that as well, and we'll put that in. Now I've got something kind of special here. I've got the smoked ancho chili powder. Look at how dark and rich that is. That's going to give us a nice bump of blood purification as well. Now, the dried herbs and spices are medicinal. They don't lose their medicine, and when we heat them up, it releases those essential oils and all of that good medicine back into our food. I've got some cilantro, and I know when we use cilantro, often I'll say to use the parsley if your family doesn't like it. Here we've got what? More chlorophyll, right, chefs? And of course, the apigenin, the great hope to cure ovarian cancer. Parsley works as well, so whatever you like. You could even do a little bit of lime zest or lemon zest just to brighten that parsley flavor up. Now, I've got a little bit of cumin here, and that's classic in chili in any Southwest dish. Let's see what else we've got. How about some fresh lime juice? And that's as Southwest as it gets, isn't it, chefs? So we'll drizzle that in. Let's go ahead and click our top on. Now, anything that works for you, like if you had some raw salsa that you had made from fresh, maybe salsa fresca out of fresh onion and tomato and that kind of thing, that would be really beautiful in here as well. All right, let's go ahead and whip it up. As it's whirring around, I'm going to go ahead and drizzle in the fresh lime juice. That gives us a little bit of limonene, bioflavonoids, flavonoids in general. And remember, chefs, they're a standalone super group of anti-aging antioxidants. All right, let's whip it up. Perfect, and the aroma is unbelievable. Okay, let's unsnap that and put that over here. And then we'll go ahead and get some of our pate. Now, if you feel that it's a little bit dry, obviously you could put in a little bit of the vegan chicken broth here, or water would work, a little bit of olive oil if you'd like, and that would give some moisture. But I've soaked the nuts long enough to really get that good high moisture content. Okay, so let's go ahead and just spoon a little bit of the filling in. Isn't that beautiful? And we'll do one of these. Now, raw foodists don't heat their food above 118 degrees, and that preserves the natural enzymes in the food. And that's what raw foodism is all about, is getting those powerful enzymes that keep our cells really healthy and really in good youthful condition. So I'm just going to put that there. Now, what we would normally do if we were doing true raw foodism is we would put these in a dehydrator and cook them, if you will, in the dehydrator under 118 degrees. That's going to soften the pepper a little bit for us and warm the pate through, and that's going to really make all of those flavors and textures shine and jump right out. Okay, I'm going to do our yellow chili. Now again, if you're a tuna salad lover, or you like maybe salmon salad, I love tempeh. I do tempeh salad. That's really great fermented food. You could put that in here as well, and that would be really a delicious way just to serve the snappy, crispy, delicious chili with some of that gorgeous salad already made up inside. And last but not least, our striped superstar here, the bell pepper. And of course, red bell peppers, yellow, orange, they're all delicious. They're all loaded with beta carotene. And we know what happens when we take golden and red and orange foods in. Our body converts that beta carotene to vitamin A, and it's the most absorbable, highly effective and usable source of vitamin A. Now the byproduct of that, chefs, and we've talked about it before, one of my favorite phytonutrients is abscisic acid. These guys are loaded with it, and once you take that vitamin A in and the body starts promoting and producing that abscisic acid all throughout the bloodstream, well, you can be sure that a lot of those cancer cells or those potentially dangerous cells will be eradicated from that abscisic acid. All right, I've got the pate going down into our little bell pepper, and this would be a delicious change on the traditional beef and rice stuffed pepper. A little sweet and sour sauce or something, a spicy tomato sauce would just be gorgeous going down over these peppers. All right, so that's a little messy, chefs, but you know me, I like to make a mess in the kitchen. So let's transfer our stuffed peppers over, and we're gonna talk about some toppings that I think you're gonna find really delicious. Let me get a clean plate, and we'll move these delicious stuffed peppers out so you can see. That's just a little, you know, and what we can do here, chefs, if we have a paring knife, is we can just cut a little foot. Now, the way I decide on how I'm going to slice the peppers is this. All right, let's take our Marzano, and I can show you just here on the table. You're going to lay the pepper down and find the way that it will lay without rolling. And that's going to determine, let's move these stuffed ones over. Whoops. See, these guys, I should have cut a foot on them, shouldn't I have, chefs? They want to kind of tip over, but that's okay. All right, so let's go with this guy. Trying to make it pretty for you too. Okay, there we go. So now I just lay the chilies down, and I see which way they will lay without rolling. Let's move this guy over. All right, can you get a good look on that, chefs? There we go. Let's move this out of the way. All right, so once you've determined how the pepper will lay without rolling all over the place, you can then just take the paring knife and run it right down the center. And sometimes I even leave a little bit of the stem. It just makes for a nice natural look. All right, I'm gonna get these guys off to the side, and I'm gonna show you some fun toppings that we created. All right, so here, this is the most delicious and most beautiful. It's one of my favorites, watermelon. Watermelon is nature's Viagra. It's full of citrulline. And so when you want to make the rocket fly straight, strong, and fast, this is how we do it. It's with watermelon. Now, watermelon is red also, so it's loaded with lycopene. So we've got citrulline, That's for your husband and you. What it does, chefs, is it just draws the blood flow down into the pelvis. And we know what that does. That leads to lots of great potential, doesn't it? So we want that blood flow heading to the pelvis, and that's for men and women. The watermelon does that with its citrulline. We've got basil for more apigenin, and we know that that's the great news on the ovarian cancer, but it's also looking promising on testicular cancer, which affects a lot of our young men. I've got strawberries in here, and organic strawberries only, chefs. They're getting sprayed with too much dangerous pesticide. So organic strawberries, organic watermelon, and the reason being is right here. They're high water content produce, and so they absorb a lot of the pesticides, so let's not do that. All right, so we've got watermelon, strawberries for ellagic acid, and ellagic acid is on the top of the list of the anti-cancer foods. A little fresh basil, again for apigenin, and then I used one of the beautiful little Marzano peppers for some sweet heat, and a little bit of seasoned rice vinegar. Honey going down over really enhances all of the fruit and vegetable. Okay, so we can just then dollop a little bit of our watermelon salsa around our chili and over it. And then I've got another one here that's different, and it's cantaloupe and peach. So we've got the mighty red with the lycopene and the citrulline revving up the blood flow, making us ready to make each other happy. And we've also got the cantaloupe and the peach that's orange and yellow. Beta carotene, abscisic acid here, and lots of vitamin C. Now the melons grow close to the ground, don't they? And we know what that means. That means high mineral content, and we want to keep the minerals and the vitamins, those micronutrients, plentiful and in storage when our body is under stress and needs a little extra help. All right, so the peaches, the cantaloupe, I've got a little bit of fresh lime juice here. I used a serrano chili for capsaicin to keep the inflammation down in our joints. It also helps give us a little bit of brain power, we're learning now. So I'm going to put down the peach and the cantaloupe on top of our chili, and that's just going to be gorgeous. There we go. You can even use it to kind of prop the chili up here, chefs, and that looks great. And I think a little bit of the cantaloupe and peach over our mild, snappy, and crisp yellow chili. And then for this, I would probably use a little bit of a spicy tomato sauce, or we could actually do a little bit of the watermelon and strawberry with the bell pepper. Really happy marriage there. The flavors complement, and we've also got a lot of vitamin C and bioflavonoids going on. We're turning back the clock today in Tina's Ageless Kitchen, and when we come back, I'm going to show you my favorite peanut noodles. It's all about alternative protein today. I'll see you in just a minute.
Hello, I'm Chef Ernie from That Crazy Chef, and you're watching Foodie TV. Woo, baby!
All right, chefs, it's time for one of my favorite dishes. And again, in the Ageless Kitchen, we're talking about alternative sources of protein. It's really all about the amino acids. An educated person doesn't refer to protein as protein. We know that it's 28 amino acids, chefs, and 19 of those are the body's own doing. We don't need to do anything. We just need to get those few little essential aminos in, and we do that by eating a wide variety of food. All right, so I'm going to show you my peanut sauce for peanut noodles, and the noodles that we're going to use, because here in the Ageless Kitchen, we really want to be aware of food allergies. And with a lot of the different products that we use, they are allergen free. And I think that's really important, especially nowadays with so many people having adverse reactions to different foods. Now what I've got here are the Japanese buckwheat udon noodles. Now buckwheat is basically a non-allergen. It works even for gluten-free people, generally speaking. Now, the wheat in general that's used in all of the processed foods, it's been too genetically modified, and it confuses our body, quite frankly. It doesn't even know what it's eating anymore. So with the buckwheat, it's organic here and non-genetically modified, and that way we know that it's easier on the digestion, but you still get the great lignans here that really protect us and protect our vascular and our hormone receptors. All right, so I've cooked off the buckwheat soba noodles and drained them, rinsed them thoroughly, and chilled them. This is going to be a cold peanut noodle dish. Now I've got them here and they're ready to go. So let's take a look at how beautiful they are, silky, and they're very gentle. They cook in 4 minutes. It's really a great, easy dish. All right, peanut butter is loaded with resveratrol. Resveratrol burns body fat without exercise. There's many other things that we're learning about the mighty peanut, but here's the thing. If you're in treatment for cancer currently, I don't allow any peanuts in your nutrition program, and here's why. Peanuts are a ground nut, so they're exposed to a lot of moisture. Often they can be exposed to mold and fungus. Not the good kind of fungus and not the mildew. We don't want any of that in our nutrition program. So if we're in treatment currently, for my protocol, I don't allow peanuts in the nutritional program. All right, so resveratrol burning body fat, and resveratrol is also connected to longevity. It oxygenates the blood, and the peanuts, of course, are loaded with the essential amino acids that we need for our body to produce protein. All right, so I'm gonna get the peanut butter in the dish. And boy, that smells good, and you could use the fresh grinder. You could grind your own. I've got a little bit of coconut milk here, and coconut milk is loaded with lauric acid. Lauric acid is one of our greatest hopes against HIV. Lauric acid is one of the only things that we know that actually kill viruses. This is great for the treatment of cold sores and different things like that. One of the best things to do with coconut oil that contains the lauric acid as well, if you have patches of eczema, rub that coconut oil right on the eczema, and you'll really be surprised, pleasantly surprised that is, with how quickly it eradicates the rash and the eczema. All right, so I've got the coconut milk in here, and yes, chefs, I do use full fat. It's better, it's got a better body, and it's got more of the medicine in it. It's not so manipulated. Okay, I've got some rice vinegar here, and I've got a little bit of the green onion. I'm gonna put just a few in, and I'm gonna save a few for our garnish. Now here's the thing, I've got some ginger here, fresh ginger. Now, how much time do you have, chefs? Because this little magical root is all about phytomedicine. It strengthens the digestive tract. It balances hormones. It helps us think better and more clearly. It freshens the breath. It prevents gum disease. It cleans the teeth. It prevents nausea. It also strengthens the colon and uptakes, or maximizes the uptake, I should say, in our intestinal walls so that we use our nutrition properly and the food that we take in. All right, now here's the thing. Ginger has a lot of fiber in it, and that's good news too. If you don't want the fiber in your sauce though, and you want more smooth sauce, here's what they do on the islands. They grind the ginger, and then they just squeeze the juice right into the sauce. Okay, and there's a little juice down there. But again, if you want the fiber, go ahead and add it in. I've got fresh garlic. I've got lime juice. Tamari, which is the wheat-free, the gluten-free soy sauce. And then I've got some honey here for a little bit of sweetness, and just a little bit of water. Now, you've heard me say it a million times. Chefs don't normally use water, but sometimes to thin a sauce, water is just exactly the thing that we need. All right, let's mix all that up. It takes a minute to work the peanut butter in, but don't worry, just use your little whisk and kind of work all that in to make your sauce. All right, so you can see that the peanut butter is actually working in and becoming more of a smooth sauce. Now, if you don't like the bits of peanuts in it, definitely use the smooth peanut butter. This is great. Our noodles are ready to be dressed, so I'm just gonna pour that right down over the noodles. Gorgeous. Oh, I'm such a messy chef, dripping stuff all over the place, goodness sakes. All right, so there's our peanut noodles, and we can toss that together. I've got just a little bit of a lumpy bit of peanut butter there, so let's just mix that in a little better. And then we could go ahead and decorate with some sesame seeds if we wanted, a little drizzle of sesame oil, and of course our beautifully bias cut green onions. a little more chlorophyll, if you will, with our green onions. All right, so that's our peanut noodles on our buckwheat soba. Our alternative protein is coming together. Let's go ahead and bring everything back, and let's go over all the delicious food with fight that we created in Tina's Ageless Kitchen today.
Hi, I'm Molly Bravo. Welcome to Organicopia, the total organic experience, and you're watching Foodie TV.
Okay, chefs, we're ready to bring it all together and talk about all the different amino acids that we discovered today. Now, I've got my plate back in front of me with our little Raw Foodist chili rellenos. And of course, if you wanted to just put this right in the oven and cook it like a regular meal, all you'd have to do is drizzle a little bit of water down into the baking pan, and that would steam the chilies, and then the oven will warm the pate and give it more of a meat-like texture. Now, I got some spicy tomato sauce that I was talking about, and if you want to do Raw Foodism, just grind up the fresh tomatoes with a little bit of raw apple cider vinegar. That raw apple cider vinegar is really great for lowering the blood pressure naturally. Okay, tomatoes here going down over our stuffed striped bell pepper. And any fresh herbs would work here. It's all great. It's all delicious medicine. Now, as you can see, we've got our strawberry and watermelon with all of our lycopene and our ellagic acid. We used a little splash of red wine vinegar in that. The seasoned rice vinegar is very light. Either would work here, chefs. We've got our cantaloupe and our peach, and I've drizzled a little bit down the sides and a little bit on top, and that way your guest can pick up a little bit of the salsa with each bite of the chili. So the yellow chili got the same, the peach and the cantaloupe, and that is loaded with the beta carotene. Our striped superstar here is our little bell pepper for lots and lots of good quality vitamin C. And remember, vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin, so it leaves our body every 30 hours or so. So we definitely want to keep that vitamin C intake up because it doesn't stay in the body for a long period of time. It's one of the greatest antioxidants, anti-agers that we know. So we've topped the bell pepper with our spicy tomato sauce, and we've got our beautiful salsas here. Lots and lots of vitamin C and bioflavonoids on this plate, but most importantly, chefs, there is a lot of protein on this plate, and that protein is in the form of those magical amino acids. We've got our peanut noodles, and this is one of my personal favorites. The buckwheat being one of the best anti-allergens we know of. People that are gluten-free usually can enjoy the buckwheat, and it's got a nice nutty flavor. Silky noodles, and we're really looking great with that resveratrol. Well, I hope you've enjoyed your time with me here in the Ageless Kitchen as much as I've enjoyed my time with you. I'm Chef Tina Martini. Here's to your health.